In this presentation, we will continue on with our comprehensive partnership problem. We will be entering transaction journal entries related to the partner investments into the partnership. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. We'll be working with a new partnership, and the first activity oftentimes for a new partnership is the partner's investing capital, investing assets such as cash and other types of assets in order to be used to help generate revenue within the partnership. The information will be on the left side, so this is going to be the information. We will record that into the general journal. We'll make the journal entries here. In other words, we will journalize the journal entries in the general journal, and then we'll take that information and post it to the general ledger. The general ledger is way over here. I'm just going to scroll to the right, and it's over here. So we're going to have to do some scrolling. We'll use a little bit of working with Excel. We'll learn how to freeze panes and work with Excel a little bit. So we'll just have to maneuver around. The worksheets are pre-formatted, so all the formulas we will use will be fairly simple, but we want to be able to connect things together, which means we do need to do navigation through this worksheet. I'm going to scroll back to the left. Once we create the general ledger, then the trial balance will be generated automatically. So let's go through this and we'll think through this process. First thing we're going to do is some formatting, however, and that formatting has to do with, we have two sets of general journals. This one's kind of in the way. I don't need it yet until we don't need it yet until we get to the end of this problem. So what I'd like to do is hide this so that we can have our data as close together, as tight as possible, so that we have as minimal maneuvering as we need in this worksheet. So to do that, we're going to put our cursor up on the F up here so we can see it look like a drop down arrow. And if I left click, that'll select the entire column. And then I'm going to drag over without letting go of the left click to column J, let go. So we've selected and highlighted, or selected we should say, the entire columns from F to J. Then put your cursor in those selected area, right click and hide those cells. So now we've got the cells hidden, and we have an easier input from here, and we can see more of our data on the right. Now note also that I'm going to use some frozen panes and try to keep this worksheet as large as possible. It's currently at 130% of normal. Some people like to see as much of the worksheet on one page as possible. If you have really good eyes, then that might be an option for you. It's not an option for me. But if it is, you could try to make this smaller and you can see more on one page. So clearly I'm not going to do that, both for my eyesight and because it's not very good presentation quality. But here's that. If you want to do it this way, you can see more on one page. Now note that if you ever see something that looks like the cell's too large, like this type of little dots here, make this larger. So oftentimes when you change the size of the font, notice that the cell's too narrow to get that to pick, and that's what those dots mean. So if you change the size of the worksheet, then if that happens, all you have to do is put your cursor between like whatever column we are in this case D and F, so it looks like that, the cursor, not like that, but like that, not like that, but like that. And then left click and drag, and you can drag till whatever you need. That's way too big of a number. So there's that, and always remember you have the undo button up here, of course, as well. I'm going to undo all that. Okay. And we'll go back to, I keep mine at 130, so we're working at 130, the view. Okay, so that means we're just going to do a little bit more scrolling because of the size. So now we're just going to take these investments. Here's the data. Smith invests cash, 40,000. And then Jones invests cash and equipment. And then Brown invests cash. So we have three partners, Smith, Jones, and Brown. And we'll record each of those investments separately. I won't try to lump it up into one journal entry. We could, but it's probably easier to see if we record each investment from each partner separately. So that's what we will do here. We will then start with Smith. So Smith invests cash only. So we have to invest this cash. If we go to our transactions, then I'm going to go through our normal thinking process. We'll start with a date on 1/1, and I'll make this a little smaller. The first question we typically ask with any transaction is cash effective? That's going to be the easiest account to deal with. In this case, of course, Smith, the partner, put cash into the business. Therefore, the business, the partnership, is receiving cash. So that's what we will do first. We'll copy the cash. I'm going to copy the cash. Cash has a debit balance. Therefore, we need to make it go up. So we'll do the same thing to it, another debit. So I'm going to copy cash. I'm going to put that on top of our transaction in C5, right click and paste 1, 2, 3. The partnership is going to get cash of 40,000. And we're going to credit something for that 40,000. I'm going to do that with a little formula here, which is negative of this number. Just taking that number and flipping the sign. Now you could just type in also, if you want, just a negative 40,000 here, negative 40,000. We're going to represent, remember, credits as negative numbers. So this is a little formula to do it. You could just type negative 40,000 as well. I like to use just little formulas, or any formula, whenever possible. The simplest formula possible is what I would prefer to use whenever possible. And then we're going to say what account is going to be the other side. And that, of course, is the capital account. So we're going to have to select the capital accounts. Note that the capital accounts are kind of like liabilities, because we think of the partnership as separate from the owners. So the capital account's going to go up, representing the partnership, a separate bookkeeping entity. We're keeping the books separate, not a separate legal entity, but a separate bookkeeping entity that kind of owes this partner the money back. So the partner, the company's going to have this money, and it's going to owe it to, in essence, this partner, partner Smith. So Smith's capital account. We're going to copy that, put that up top. Right here in C6, right click and paste 1, 2, 3. I'm going to indent it, which is probably done for you already, but it's good to know where it's at. It's in the Home tab, Alignment Group, and this little indentation will indent it. Now, if you can't do that because the formatting won't let you do that because of a locked sheet, sometimes we lock some of the cells just so you don't like delete some of these formulas. But if you can't do that, you can double click and you can hit the spacebar 3 times or something. That will work too. But note that this is a useful tool to know where it's at so that you can indent without having a separate cell or using the spacebar. Okay, so then those are our 2 transactions. What we're going to do is post this now, and we're going to post it to the general ledger. Now I'm going to start off doing it by just scrolling. Remember, there's a couple different ways you can do it. If your eyes are good, you can make this small enough so you can see all of the GL at the same time, and that just point to things. I'm going to use scrolling here, and then later we will use the screen being frozen, freezing the panes. So here's our journal entry that we just journalized, we just made in the general journal, which is this blue area, that we are now going to post, the process of posting, to the general ledger, which is on the right. So to do that, we're going to just note, this is the way I recommend doing it. We're going to see the account here. This is the one we want to post. Here it is on the trial balance. It's the first account on the trial balance. The general ledger will be ordered in the same way. So note the trial balance is in order: assets in green, liabilities in orange, capital in light blue, and revenue and expenses, income statement accounts, in dark blue. This same order will be on the GL. So if I go to the GL over here, same order, cash being our first account. So here's cash, here's cash. We want to be on the debit side, We're going to do this with a formula. So in 09, I'm going to say equals and just point to that 40,000. And so you could just type in 40,000 here. However, highly recommend using formulas here, because if there's an error, it's a lot easier to find the problem. So then we're going to say enter. It'll bring this up to 40,000, and it'll bring this up to 40,000 automatically. So we can see where this is coming from there. This is being used to make that, and this is being used. Well, actually, this is being used to make this. And so that's how it's all going to tie together. So this pulls over automatically from there, and we're out of balance now by the 40,000. So in essence, this gives us our summary. Cash went up, nothing else happened yet until we record the other side. We are out of balance by 40. Now we'll record the other side. Here it is, what we're going to record. Here it is on the trial balance. So it's our first equity, assets, liabilities, equity. It'll be the first equity on the GL. So I'm going to scroll over. I'm going to use some scrolling this time. So we're going to go to the right, It's assets in green, liabilities in orange, and then here's our capital accounts. So there's Smith's capital. So it's right here. We want to be on the credit side. So we are in cell AB15. AB15. Now I like to use the arrows to do this. So we can just say equals, and then I got to get all the way back there. You could scroll back with the bar, or you can just hit the arrows. If I use the arrows, notice it'll populate something there, but it won't keep it there until I do something else like have another function or hit enter. So I'm just going to go left all the way, just keep on clicking left until we get back to our journal entry, go up. I'm just using arrows, and I want to find that 40,000. There's the 40,000 and enter. So there's our transaction. If we look at it, double click on it, we could just type in E equals E6 as well and enter. It'll pull over that 40,000. That 40,000 then is used, or this one is used to create the financial statement. So if we go back over here, here's the 40,000 and here's our financials. So what happened then, the partnership now has $40,000 in its checking account. It owes that 40,000 to this partner. This partner's not going to pull it out. The partner's hoping to keep it in there and generate revenue, which hasn't happened yet, of course, and then pull out revenue rather than the original investment. Okay, so that's going to be the process. So now we'll do this again for the second partner. Jones invests $10,000 and an equipment worth $20,000. So the second partner put in cash and equipment. So is cash affected? We're going to say, yeah, you got cash, went up. Cash is a debit balance. We're going to make it go up by doing the same thing to it, another debit. So I'm going to right click and copy the cash. I'm going to skip a line and put another journal entry here. And I'm going to right click and paste it 1, 2, 3. I don't want to paste it this way because I don't want to make it green. We just want the values so I don't misspell it by typing it. You could type it in there as well. It's hard to misspell cash, but I can find a way. And then we're going to put the amount, which is 30,000. And then we've got equipment. So equipment, so note we can invest something other than just cash. So this time he invested equipment. Note that when we do invest equipment, however, we, the partnership, the rest of the partners would have to agree on what we believe the value of that equipment is. And so the partnership, in accordance, this is kind of like a transaction happening, a market transaction, has agreed that that equipment is worth 20,000. So, and that's important because that's going to affect the capital account. So this will be a negotiated process to say, okay, the equipment, okay, worth 20,000, we're going to say. So we're going to copy the equipment. And we're going to put that in C9, right click and paste 1, 2, 3. And the amount will be 20,000. So we've got two debits here. The credit then, of course, will go to the capital account for Jones. So Jones's capital account is here. We're going to copy that in L17, right click and copy, and paste that in C10, right click and paste 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to indent that, probably done for you already, by going to the Home tab, Alignment, Increase Indenting. And then we're going to put the negative 50 here. You could type in negative 50,000, 30 plus 20. I'm going to use what I call the plug formula. It's a negative sum formula, meaning I want to sum these up, add them up, and flip the sign. So to do that, rather than hit equals, I'm going to say negative sum, double click the sum, and I like highlighting all 4 cells, just in case if something was over here in a more complex journal entry, I just get used to highlighting all the cells, and then enter. Not the one we're on, that will be bad, and then enter. And then there's the 50,000, so 30 plus 20 is the 50. If we highlight the whole thing, adds up to 0, debits minus the credits. So now we're going to post this. We're going to increase the cash. We're going to increase the equipment with debits. And then that amount of money, 50,000, is owed to the partner Jones. This time to do this, well, let's do one more. Let's do the next journal entry, and then we'll post them together. So Brown is the same way. He just invested cash. So I'm going to skip a line and do another journal entry for Brown, the third partner. He put in cash. Cash is going to go up. So I'm going to copy cash. We're going to put that, skip a line and put that in C12, right click and paste 1, 2, 3. He put in 10,000, or he or she, Brown, looks like a last name. And then we're going to credit something. I'm going to do that instead of putting negative 10,000, I'm going to put a little formula, negative of that number. instead of equal, negative of that. And that's just going to take that number, flip the sign. And that's going to go into Brown's capital account. So we're tracking these capital accounts separately. It's kind of like an accounts payable account for the partnership. We're just saying, hey, we owe these partners this much money. It's similar to a liability because the partner's separate from the owners. So we're going to copy that. We're going to put that up here in C13, right click and paste 1, 2, 3. Then we'll just indent that. We'll go to the Home tab. This is probably done for you already. Alignment and indent. So there we have it. Now we're going to post these two. We haven't posted these two yet. To do that, I'm going to use a function. I'm going to use a process or an Excel process of freezing the panes to make this a little bit easier. So remember, you could make the screen smaller. I like to freeze the panes. So to do that, I want to see as much on the left side as the right side as possible. And I want these to stay here. So meaning I want to scroll to the right and still see this stuff so that we can see both screens at the same time. To do that, I don't want to see column A when we start. So I want to go to the right just a little bit. I'm going to click this and go to the right so that B is flush. Column B is flush with the side, and I can see as much over here as possible. Then we need to put our cursor in cell K1 because I want to freeze everything to the left of K1. And then we're going to go to the View tab. We're going to go to the Windows group and go to this Freeze Panes. We'll click the Freeze Panes, and the first one is the one we want. Freeze panes. So now the pane has been frozen. If we go this way, notice the columns B through E stay, which is nice. So okay, so that's what we're going to do. It takes a little bit to get used to. Now we want to post this journal entry first. Now because it's not the last journal entry, the other thing I like to do is just make this a different color so I know where I'm at. So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to select this whole thing. We're going to right click on it and I'm going to make it green. I make the things green when I'm working on them. So I'm going to make it green because I'm working on it. Okay, so that's the one. And then I'm just going to post this out. So we got the cash. It's going to be the first account on the trial balance. It's the first account on the GL. So we're going to go right under our last transaction. We're here in cell O10. O10. Within O10, we will say equals and just point to that 30,000 and enter. So that brings the 40 up by 30 to 70. That 70 is what is now being pulled onto the trial balance. And of course, we're out of balance now by that 30. And then we've got the equipment here. Here's the equipment on the trial balance. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 accounts down. So it's going to be 6 accounts over. This is where the frozen panes will come into play. It's going to be great. So we're going to scroll to the right. And there's 6 accounts over. Here's the equipment. So we need to debit the equipment. It's on the debit side. So we're on the debit side for equipment, cell W9. Within W9, we're going to say equals, and then just point to that equipment, 20,000. It's going to bring the zero balance up by 20,000 to 20,000. Now to go back to the trial balance and check this, notice I'm using these. You may not be able to use these items if it's a locked worksheet, but just to know where they are in the formulas right here under the formula auditing. I like to put them up into the quick toolbar, add to the quick toolbar because I use them. And then I'm going to go just to the left of the frozen panes and go right, and that'll pop back over to where we want. There's the 20,000. So 20,000 of this is there. We're out of balance by the 50 because we haven't recorded this 50 yet. That's what we'll do now. So that's the capital account. Scrolling down, here's Jones's capital account. And so it's going to be, assets, liabilities, and then the fourth equity account. So let's go to the right, see if we can find that. Assets, liability, capital for Smith, and then capital for Jones. So we don't want to put it into the draws and mess it up. So we're on the credit side. So if we scroll back up, we're going to do a little bit of scrolling here. We're picking up this 50. It's a credit on the credit side, and we're picking that up in cell AB27. AB27. Notice we never put negative numbers here because we just use equals. Well, the negative numbers will be there, but we don't have to do that with a negative sign. We just say equals all the time here on the GL and scroll up because the negative credit is represented on the ledger here. So if I just say enter, it pulls over the credit being negative. So 0 plus 50,000, 50,000. Okay, so if we go back to our trial balance, we're going to say just put our cursor, actually this one, just to the left of the frozen panes, and then click right, and that'll pop back over there. There's the 50,000. So what we've done now is we've increased cash. So cash is going up by this 30,000, and we've increased equipment by 20. And then of course we owe that, the partnership owes that back to Jones. Jones isn't going to take it out, and note we couldn't even give him the cash right now because we have equipment. So we're not going to give Jones obviously 50,000 in cash, most likely, but we kind of owe Jones the 50,000 because he put 50,000 value worth of assets into the business. Hopefully, the partnership will make money and then pay Jones back with revenue. Okay, so then we're going to go to the next one. I'm going to ungreen these. So highlight these, select these, right click, and we'll go to the paint thing. I'm going to make it blue again. Now, if this blue isn't in your area here, because it's not a standard color, you can go to the more colors. Actually, I don't think the wheel's showing you here. Let's do it up here. We're going to go to here. Now, if this blue isn't there, you can go to the more colors and then go to the standard here. And then it's that one right there. That's the one I'm using. And then, okay. So there's that. Now we'll make this one. I don't need to make it green because it's the last one. So I'm always going to be working on the last one. So I'll just keep that there. Okay, so now we're going to do cash. This cash is our first account. Here's cash. Here it is on the GL. So we're in cell O11. Within O11, we'll say equals. Point to that 10,000. That's going to bring the 70,000 up by 10,000 to 80,000. That 80,000 then on the trial balance. Our trial balance now out of balance by the 10,000. Second side is going to be to the capital account for Brown. So here's Brown's capital account. And so it's, the same order, assets, liability, equity. It's almost the second to last equity account. So we'll scroll to the right, looking for it. We've got assets, we've got liabilities, we've got equity. We're looking for Brown's capital account. So here it is, the capital account for Brown, credit side. So here's the credit. We want to be over here in AF15. AF15. So we're just going to say equals and point to that 10,000 in E15 or E13 and enter. So if we double click on it, you could just type in there E13 equals E13 or negative 10,000. Highly recommend not just typing in negative 10,000, however, using formulas because they really help us to see, where this information is coming from. So now we're going to say that is going to be used. If I go back and go to the left of the frozen panes, click to the right, that's used to make this number. And so this is what we're left with now. And we should be back in balance here. Back in balance indicated by the green 0, meaning the debit positive number, minus the credit negative number, minus the credit negative number, minus the credit negative number is 0. And we can also see that the assets minus the liabilities equal equity, which is all the blue, including the income statement. And we can see that, if we did it this way, this is assets equal liabilities plus equity. We can also formulate that mathematically. Assets minus liabilities, there are none. So in other words, these partners put in 100,000 worth of assets. And the partnership then, of course, owes these partners the 100,000. And that 100,000 is broken out by the amount that these partners put in. Smith put in 40,000 all cash, capital, so that's what the capital account is. Jones put in 50,000 worth of assets, including 30,000 cash, 20,000 equipment, and Brown put in 10,000 in cash. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.